Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Benson the Storyteller. Today I have a friend of mine with a very powerful story. It's a story of hope and a story of encouragement. So to those who might be going through something difficult, please listen to this story and it might give you some hope. So without further ado, listen to this powerful story.
Everybody has a story, but not all stories have been told. This is Benson the Storyteller, and these are some of our untold stories.
Hello everyone, my name is Oluma Modekayo. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer stage 4, which I still don't understand how my cancer get to stage 4 because personally I never knew I was sick. Sometimes we men don't go to the mirror to check our bodies. But one thing I've realized, sometimes we need to go when you have time, take your time, check your body. If you witness or you see you realize there's something strange or some lymph node on you, please don't be stubborn. Just visit the hospital, make sure you're checked, just to make sure that the lymph nodes are not cancerous, because I've just realized most of the people are dying because of ignorance, and most of the people, just when we see the lymph node, you just think it is something which will go. Me personally, I didn't realize that there's something wrong with me because I've been riding a bike. I like riding a bike, so almost half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the evening. So I never realized I'm sick or something. But one thing which I realized, the energy for pedaling was going down. And when I finished, when I reached where I was going, I realized I was not sweating. So this morning we wake up with my friend, and she's like, you have a lymph node on your neck. So I became, as usual, man, we always stubborn. I became stubborn a little bit, but she insisted that I have to go to the hospital, and I was taking around for 3-4 days. I took around, but the pressure from her made me, because now it was too much, and I was now I was now getting irritated. So I said, let me just walk to the emergency. So because of her persistence and to seem for me to go to the hospital, so I decided to walk to the hospital. So sometimes, men, please don't be stubborn. Sometimes let's just listen to them. So I walk into the emergency department hospital, and the doctor examined me, and they told me to contact my GP straight away. GP means general practitioner. Here in the UK, everybody has his own personal doctor. You register in what we call now in Kenya or in Africa, health center, or a certain hospital or local hospital, but you have your own doctors. So when I went to the emergency department, after examining me, they told me I might be having a cancer, so I need to report immediately to my GP so that they can do further investigation, just to make sure what the lymph node is not cancerous or it is cancerous. I left the hospital very devastated, feeling down, lost hope, cried. not just crying, not just because I was weak, but don't forget, even Jesus wept at the cross. I was shocked, and perhaps the reason why I was crying, because it is something which I never dream of. One day, one time, I will have cancer. So I left the hospital. It was on a Friday morning. I was supposed to go to work. So after that, I went to work, but my mind is not there. When I went to work, I was so down, crying. And as soon as I get to work, I met my colleague and I explained to her what is happening. She encouraged me to wait until I see my GP. So after a few hours later, after composing myself just to talk to the GP, because when I left the emergency department, I was so emotional. So I called the GP a few hours later. They booked me in immediately. It was on a Friday, but they booked me in on a Monday. So I went to the GP on a Monday, very early in the morning. When I get there, I was quickly taken to the consultation room with the GP. The GP examined me, and he also shared with me what the other doctor from the emergency shared. But I detected there was something wrong, seriously wrong, because after examining me, he left me in the room. A few minutes later, he came back with a senior doctor. So the senior doctor looked at me, examined me, then never talked to me so much, but they had a conversation with the junior doctor who examined me first. After that, what I heard the senior doctor telling the junior doctor that he need to refer my case to consultant as soon as possible. She will be tracking it. So I left the hospital that day, feeling down, lost hope, feeling devastated. Don't forget, just about 6 months after that, we just buried our brother who also died of cancer. So we were still mourning, and here I am being told the same thing, cancer, and I said, look, it's not gonna be easy. So I left the hospital. About a week later, I was called, booked in the hospital, now main hospital, to go for the consultant. When I went, they did all the tests, ultrasound, X-ray, everything, to the lymph node, camera all over my body to check where the lymph node was, to check, just to view what is in there. After that, I left the hospital again. Then later I was called again for them to do biopsy, to just make sure that whatever is on the lymph node is to rule out whether it's a cancer or not cancerous. Sorry. So after biopsy, the result came. I was called back in the hospital again. I went back by myself, and these guys had already confirmed my fear. It was cancer, but I didn't know which cancer was it, which stage was it on. So the day I went, an oncology was already assigned to me to take me through the process and what I need to do, what need to be done, and when. Luckily or unfortunately, she called off sick that morning, so we didn't meet. So another nurse was assigned to me that morning to just brief me, because the assignment had already been assigned to a different person. So this lady took me to a consultation room. spoke to me like 20 minutes, but she gave me a book to go and read, and with a specific page. She told me, don't bother about reading this page, just go and concentrate on this page. And so I went back home feeling down, hopeless, and I kept on reading the book. And she told me, before I left, she told me that the lady or the oncology was supposed to take me through the process of treatment and what needs to be done and what I should do. Will call me, this was on a Tuesday, will call me either on Wednesday or Thursday. If she doesn't call me on Wednesday, I should call on Thursday. So on Wednesday evening, I received a call from the lady, the oncology. She called me and we booked another appointment a week later. So when I went, no, before I went, this lady, the nurse I met before, told me not to go alone. She asked me to go with a family member or a family friend. So I left the hospital, and when I received the call from the oncology who was assigned to me now, and she booked me for an appointment, so I called my cousin and my friend. So we went, the three of us. When we went, we found the consultant and the oncology. So we were 4 in the room. The reason why they asked me to go, not to go alone, because this was a shocking news, and they knew that if I go alone, how I was going to take it, or I might miss a lot of things which I needed to know. So they told me, you need to bring these people so that they will explain for you what we are going to discuss after. So immediately we went and I introduced them. I introduced my friend and my cousin to them, because they asked me, who are these people to you? And I told them. So the consultant took me through the result of the biopsy and what was shown on the camera, what appears on the camera. So, but what shocked me most was they confirmed my fears. They told me I've got cancer and it is in stage 4. So I looked down and I asked myself, why, and why me? So I cried and I left the consultation room to go and cry in the corridor. I left my cousin and my friend down in the consultation room. So then later I came back to the room to listen to whatever they were saying. So I was given choices of either, the only treatment available for me was to go through chemotherapy. And chemotherapy, many people told me how painful it is, how it is not easy, how you might die on it, a lot of things. People with cancer, and again, when you have cancer stage 4, what we are seeing ahead of you is the impending death. So after we left the hospital, and since I was given choices, I was told to either sign the consent form if I agree that I will go through chemotherapy. So I just signed it, but in my mind, I knew I'm not going to survive, or all the hopes gone. So we left the hospital with my cousin and my friend. They sat me down somewhere. They explained to me what is going to happen, what they've been told, what I need to do. So I asked them, if this is what is going to make me survive or add me more years to live, then have no choice. Again, my mom was still mourning. Again, I have a little young girl. So looking at them, and my mom depend on me so much. So, and this also, this young girl depend on me almost 100%. So looking at my mom and looking at my daughter Esther, they made me gather courage to face the chemotherapy. So a few weeks later, they called me again for what we call PTE scan, PET scan. So PET scan showed how cancer had spread all over my body, especially on the spleen. You could easily see because when the result came out, we sat down with a consultant and he was showing me how the cancer had spread on my body, and I could see because it has already started attacking my organs. After that, I started my chemotherapy. The first 6 sessions, this was something was terrible, but my hope now was focused on God and my treatment. So the first session, don't forget, here is a situation whereby I don't have my family members with me. I only have friends surrounded me, and they took good care of me from day one to the last day. I used to live very far, but I had to move from where I was living because where I was living with the hospital is 2 hours, almost 2 hours away. So I had to shift from where I was living to live with the friends. For the last almost 2 years, I was living with them because I was doing chemotherapy almost every 2 weeks. 1 week I have to deal with the with the symptoms and I had to deal with the symptoms of the chemo and how my body was reacting with it, the reaction of medicine, which this thing is like when you immediately finish chemo, you're like a woman who is pregnant. You can't eat anything. The drugs which you've been put on are strong drugs because some of them are to protect your organ from that chemical being injected on you to kill the cancer cells. So go through the terrible first 6 sessions. After that, the second session, I met a rogue nurse, the nurse who was who was administering the drug on me. This lady told me, she's from Africa. She told me, my brother, you may look healthy, but I can tell you I've seen my brothers and sisters coming here and going. I've been a nurse for I don't know how many years, and I can see you need to write your will, you need to tell people. And I'm like, okay, now you are supposed to give me hope, but now you're the one who is selling for me hopelessness. So I left the hospital. A friend of mine who came to pick me, I told him, look, I'm not going back to the hospital. And they pleaded with me that I should ignore the nurse and continue with the chemo. So I also listened to them, but I had to tell the consultant on what happened. So the next appointment, we sat down with the consultant and I explained to him what happened when I went for chemotherapy, and they were all shocked. So my fear was, okay, I don't need to show this lady that I'm not happy with her because I feared that she might overdose me because she was the manager of that ward. So I had to try to play cool just for me to finish my session. I didn't tell you I was diagnosed with a cancer called a high grade uh, high grade what's this this name always sometimes disappear for me, but yeah, high grade non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But their lymphomas are so many. So mine was T cell, peripheral T cell lymphoma, stage 4. So the side effect of the chemo medicine, always some of them are terrible, very terrible. So you get it one week, you deal with the side effect. Few days, you rest, you go for another one. So after 6 sessions, they never achieve their target. So again, they ask me that I need to take a break for my body to relapse. So after a few weeks again, I was taken for another scan, PET scan, PET scan. Now the images were totally different. Most of the cells had been killed, but again, they had not reached the target. So I was now put on a weekly one. So I used to deal with the side effect of chemo. This second phase of it was they had increased the dosage, and they were administering me with the strong medication. This one was terrible, and many hours now to spend at the hospital for the chemo process. These were not easy time, and because it is weekly. So the second phase finished, and in between I was given also another break for body to relapse before I go back for another PET scan, so that one will direct them for the next move. So a year later, they told me that I was going they need to harvest my cells now for ready for transplant after the chemo session. So as I wait for the third phase of the chemotherapy, they harvested the cells. At the same time, I was given injection to inject myself. I used to inject myself in the stomach. So this medicine I was given, I used to keep it in the fridge. So every morning and every evening, I had to inject myself for the body to develop more cells. So after I'd finished the dose, they send me ambulance to come and pick me for cells harvesting, which was being done in another hospital. The first day, they never achieved their target. So I was told go home, but they injected me with the medicine again for the body to develop more cells. So the following day, I went back, stayed on the machine for so long as they invest the cells. Don't forget, these cells were not being kept in the hospital. They were being kept again 45 minutes away from the hospital, of which I was told the motorbike guy was waiting for them to take them for where they're being kept awaiting transplant, which was scheduled a few months later. So after that, I had a PICC line on my body, which they used to administer the chemo. The PICC line was put from my neck here, then it came out from my chest. So they realized One day I went for blood test, but because every time before you go for chemo, they have to check your blood count. If your blood counts are low, you can't go for a chemo. They can't continue with the session. They have to postpone until your bloods are stable. Or if they realize you have infection, they have to deal with give you antibiotic until that infection clear. So one day I went to the hospital. They did the blood. After I'd left the hospital, got home, I was called back again to go back to the hospital. So this was on a Friday. So when I went, I was walked into the ward straight away, and I was told I had to spend there. There was some infection on the blood. So what they needed to do is to check whether the blood, the infection was from the line, which is sometimes they refer it at Hickman line, or just a line. So what happened? And they realized that they took blood from my veins straight away, and another one sample from the line. So the one which was taken from my vein straight was clear. The other one had infection. So over the weekend I spent in the ward. On Saturday morning, the doctor came. They told me that the blood from the line had the infection, so they are going to make a decision to remove the line. This line was waiting for transplant. It was supposed to be used for transplant. So a few minutes later, the doctor came that the decision has been made that they have to remove the line from where it was. So they removed the line. After that, they discharged me from the hospital. So I went back home. A day to start the final, what I would call the final phase of the chemotherapy, which was supposed to culminate into transplant. Was called in the hospital again. They put another line. This one was now coming from the vein from my arm and coming out from the arm again through the vein. And that day now it was sealed with a film not to get infection. So I went home and I was told to come back the following morning. So when I went back the following morning, I was admitted in admission ward. So I stayed there with them administering the strong chemo drugs, which now on this one I was not allowed to step out of the ward due to infection because they were now drying all my blood and me surviving on water. So this water was being put as a drip, so which was being anytime they were put on a standby. So if this one finished, they activate the other one, just like that for 7 days. During this time, this ice cube you guys see sometimes, people they are very important sometimes. So I was every hour I was being given ice cube with a jar. I was being told I need to eat them. I will not know what they're supposed to do now, but they will explain it to me. So when you are taking chemo drugs, you develop something like mouth ulcers. So that ice cube help the stomach. It hardened the stomach, so you don't get that stomach ulcers when they are administering you with the medicine. So 7 days after I'd finished the last phase of the chemo, the cells which were harvested me were brought back for transplant. So they did they frozen them as a watch, and then now the process of transplanting started. That was successful, I thank God. When I was admitted at the ward, I was not, since I was not allowed to see, I was not allowed to walk out or leave the hospital. Well, I had good friends. My support system walked with me throughout the journey. It was not an easy journey, but one thing what I hated most, which now making me sometimes making me to avoid people, people telling you, "Oh, you can do it. You can. You're strong, man. You're strong." To be honest, I hated that thing because the pain I was feeling, and I was not seeing that energy and strongness people were talking about. So thank God. They used to bring for me breakfast, food every day, but I don't see them. I can only wave through with them, to them a distance because my ward was close to the window and the corridor on the other side of the window. So sometimes the people we don't take seriously like friends can really, and to be honest, that is the time you know whether you have true friends or you just have fake friends. What my friends did to me, I can never repay them back. But they stood me, people from work, people from church, some people I didn't know, friends of my friends, they were praying all over, and church really playing a good, important role in during this time. When I'm home and there is Holy Communion, they will bring for me the Holy Communion at home. So back to the transplant. 2 days after the transplant, I had infection, which I still don't understand how it happened and how I got it. But I went one day. I went to the bathroom. So when I went to the bathroom, I started sweating and my breathing was going down. So I quickly walked out of the bathroom, washroom, then went back to the bed and rang the bell. Immediately, there was a student nurse around. She came and found me unconscious. What she did, pull up the oxygen, put me on oxygen. Then later, she went and called the doctors. They came, they did the ECGs and everything because my heart was palpitating and struggling to breathe, and I'm sweating. So then later again, now is when I used to play music in my room because I was in the ward alone. I was in isolation ward. So I could hear them asking, "Oh, can we play for you your music?" And I'm in a different world. So after that again, they came and took the blood sample from the vein, from my veins directly from the vein, and another one from the line. So they realized the line had infection. Again, they came back and told me, "Look, the line is infected, so we have to remove it. So we are going to consult and make a decision. Then we'll get back." A few minutes later, they came back and said, "We have made a decision. We have to remove the line, and now we are going to put for you cannula. So the remaining injection are going to be done through the cannula." So, and also you see this cannula, there are people who knows how to put them. There's some people who struggle. Some people will poke your body all over before they find the vein to poke you. But some people just put them straight away, then it works, so you never feel the pain. So a cannula was put. I'm still in the hospital. As usual, friends come, bring food, but I don't see them. But we talk on phone. So I finish the chemo now. I've had my transplant, but the doctors, I can say, I had one of the best doctors because they were friendly, and sometimes they will crack jokes and we laugh, though I laugh, but I was in pain. My oncology was good. Unfortunately, she passed away as well along the way. and this one really drained me down because we were with her just a few days. Then I went back to the hospital, and I'm being told that she passed away yesterday. She went home, then she became unconscious. When she was taken back to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead. So I was like, now, my question was, this is somebody who was just healthy, taking care of a patient, which was me and many other patients, and now it's gone. What next? What is so special about me? And what have I done to deserve another second chance? These are some of the questions I was asking myself, because again, there are people who are diagnosed after me. They have gone ahead of me, but me, I was still here fighting and trying to keep the faith. Thank God I'm still here. The transplant was successful. After that, I had to deal with the side effect, and my symptoms are still playing up until today. Sometimes I can wake up just okay, but in a few minutes, sometimes my breathing just change and maybe just go off my mood. Then I just find a place or quiet place to relax and compose myself before I think of something else. Again, sometimes, well, it is good to have a family around when you are sick, but sometimes again, I think it is not a good thing, because for me, I had my friends around, my family were far away, and I was just imagining if my mom was around, how emotional she will be, especially when she come to see me in this hospital. And you see, sometimes this thing drain you down, because when they look at you and you also lift your eye and you look at them and you see them the way they're down, and maybe some of them are emotional, you just lose hope, because sometimes you think, so I'm just this sick. So sometimes it is good to have them around, and sometimes it is also not good to have them around, but it is good to have a good support system until you get to the hospital bed, or until you get to the situation whereby you cannot depend on yourself, is when you realize the importance of people surrounding you. So I'm grateful to have had a good friends, and I'm grateful for everybody who had played a role in my life, or everybody who has played a role in my life. I can't appreciate you much, but I will always be grateful. Another thing, it is also good to trust in God and build your relationship with the community around you. It's very important. It's also good to where you're working, build a friendship, have a friendship, build a community, work as a team, and work with the people. Because you see, somebody like me, if I had not told you that I'm sick, you wouldn't know. Because for me, even after I come from the chemo, when the side effects goes down, I'm just like putting brave face, but majority of people never realize I was sick until I tell you I'm sick. Is when you realize. So most of my friends, the people who knew, some of them who knew I was sick, but some of them never knew. Some of them also disappeared along the way, because immediately I told some of them I was sick and I'm having cancer. The only thing they were seeing, this one is not surviving. It becomes so useless because it's never important anymore. So they disappear. Some of them came back as soon as they realized this guy is not going nowhere. Some of them disappeared until today. So, but it is okay. It is okay because I took a word from one of my friends who has been sickling again as well. This guy told me, look, Moody, you are sick, but I want to tell you one thing. It is you by yourself and your God. People who did not call you, people who did not check on you, don't bother. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you can survive, but survive a better person. Or you can die and die a better person because of people who never called you, check on you, people who never did anything to you. And this thing really helped me during my hard time, because I used to reflect on that every day. Because I don't know how I will be now, even with people. Maybe perhaps I will not even be talking to people. But I kept the faith and I kept on his words, keep on reflecting in my mind all the time. And it saves me a lot. Again, this one is now for Africans, my African brothers and my sisters. There is this thing called sickle cell, especially the trait called carrier. Some of us are carrier of sickle cell, but we don't know. So you realize you meet a lady who is also a carrier. But since you don't know and she's not aware, or maybe one of the partners are aware and decide to keep quiet just because you met a beautiful lady, well, everybody deserves to have a woman in his life or a man in her life. But the moment you realize one of you is a carrier, you need to ask yourself one question. Yes, we are carrier and we know our carrier. Are we going to have children? Because there is nothing so difficult and painful giving birth to a child who is sick or a sickler. And this child wants to suffer for the rest of her life or his life in this world. And even you guys want to spend time in the hospital, in and out. Please, when you realize your family, there is a trait or a carrier in your family, one of your family members, please encourage everybody to check their blood. Go for blood tests and check whether you are a carrier or not. And if you realize you're a carrier, please, I know you can love a woman, but sit down, discuss. If you are a carrier and she's not a carrier, fine. If she's a carrier and you're not a carrier, it's fine. But if both of you are a carrier, there are consequences and the decision to be made. Because some people will give birth children, and these children, you give birth, children die. You give birth, the children die. Then you start accusing even the neighbor of being witchcraft. Or you start asking yourself, who has bewitched you? Nobody has bewitched you. It's about, it is the two of you who maybe are carriers, but you don't know. The consequences of carrier marrying a carrier is you guys giving birth to a child who is a full-blown. Now, a full-blown child suffer for the rest of her life or his life in this world. So please, always check yourself and check your blood. Even if you check your blood and you realize there is something wrong, it is good. At least the earlier the better. If you realize your bloods were not okay, sit down with yourself, sit down with your doctor, discuss what can we do. because they're always a solution to every problem. So no fear, be strong, because another important thing of checking your blood, because somebody like me, I rarely go to the hospital and I rarely check my blood. But if my best friend was not there, I would have died in the house, not knowing. Because after this, I've met few friends of mine. I've explained to them how I was, and some of them just realize, oh, my relative. You hear stories coming out. My relative died. It is my uncle dies in the same situation. Why? Because either some of us were stubborn like me. I tried very hard to be stubborn, or we fear going to the hospital to check our blood because we think something else will come out. Every disease, every infection, everything in life, there is nowhere it was written that every sickness people have to die. Death must not be the consequences of all the diseases. Some of them are curable. Things like cancer, if it is realized earlier, you can still be helped. So please, let's make it a routine of checking our blood whenever you suspect there is something wrong. And sometimes also just go to the hospital, just walk in, tell the doctor, look, this is what I want to check in my blood. Because some of them just check the blood, but they will tell you the blood samples are okay. But they just because they check the general. As for me, I'll still plead with you to continue praying for me and continue working with me this journey. I know that the church has been so strongly on this and with my friends. Let's keep the friendship, let's keep the faith the way we've been. Let's keep praying for each other. Let's keep on checking on each other. Just one phone call, a simple text can save a life. If I go quiet, don't assume I'm okay. I might not be okay. Or maybe I'm dead. But you've just not realized. The moment the news come out, people are quick to write, rest in peace. But you never checked on me. You only wait until I appear on social media. So, guys, let's keep on checking and let's take care of each other.